Yes, the big remake is real and it's coming soon. We got new Star Wars reveals, leaks for PlayStation and Ubisoft, and way more gaming news to go over, so sit back and let's go. Let's start with some good news for the Assassin's Creed franchise, starting with the fact that both Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey have officially surpassed 40 million players. Now obviously this does not mean sold, probably around half of this is through Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Extra. Still, it shows that a lot of people want to play these RPG Assassin's Creed games. And well, Ubisoft quote tweeted this announcement, saying that in just 4 weeks, Assassin's Creed Shadows has already attracted more players than these predecessors did in their first 4 weeks. So right now it's on track to outpace both Origins and Odyssey, while of course lacking behind Valhalla. So it's likely that Shadows is now around the 4 million players. So we know that Tom Henderson said that Odyssey did 3.4 million in the first month and Shadows has more than that. Now both Origins and Odyssey did have a Black Friday and Christmas bump soon after launch, so curious if Shadows can keep this up. So far so good, as Matt Piscatella notes that Assassin's Creed Shadows has been the best selling video game in the US for each of its first 3 weeks in the market. So it has a good tail so far, with it now being the second best selling game in the US, only after Monster Hunter Wilds, with the game being the second biggest revenue generator of March, only behind Fortnite. I really hope that Ubisoft learns from this and believes in their own strengths for future releases. Like, they paid, I think, too much attention and acknowledged way too much of the hate from a small minority. I've always said that some blunders, like using real-life flags in concept art without asking permission, or the merchandise blunders, they were totally valid. But all the other things regarding Yasuke and other so-called woke stuff, it was all forged rage bait. Moving on to some pretty wild news, Sony is once again raising the prices of the PlayStation 5, this time for the digital edition in the UK, Europe, New Zealand and Australia. GameSpot has a nice rundown, so in Europe the digital edition goes from 450 to 500 euros, while again the standard edition remains the same. PS5 disc drive is lowered from 120, which is kind of an insane price, to 80, which is still way too much. UK has a £40 increase, and Australia and New Zealand a $70 and a $60 increase respectively. With a backdrop of a challenging economic environment, including high inflation and fluctuating exchange rates, SIE has made the tough decision to raise the recommended retail price of the PlayStation 5 console. This is their reason for it, although once again they're not raising the prices in the US. Still though, this is the first time that buying a console at launch is cheaper than waiting and buying it later, which is crazy. And this is also the reason why I already pre-ordered the Switch 2, as I don't expect a price drop, and there might even be a potential increase for that later on as well. Of course, curious to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Yes, we talked about it many times, but now it has officially leaked, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake. We got some pretty good looking images from the developer Virtue's website that have now been removed, but we can still see them. And they also put up a comparison shot between the 2006 original and the new version that looked pretty impressive. Before this leak, we already learned that the game should have an improved HUD to make it easier to understand for new players. Stamina should be less frustrating. Hit reactions are added to improve the combat and impact, with blocking, sneaking and archery also being improved. Bethesda and Microsoft have not acknowledged the leak yet. They of course want to hold on to the shadow drop. It should be happening in the next few days, as I predicted in last week's Sunday video. There's a deluxe edition too, with extra cosmetic content, while the full remaster should include all the original DLC, and it will be out for Xbox, Game Pass Day 1, PC and PlayStation 5. Let me know if you will play it in the comments down below, but that's of course far from the only thing that will be happening this coming week. I got the full rundown. Let's go over some other gaming news and leaks first. Of course, if you like this video, leave a like, that would really help me out, and subscribe, because we post one of these big gaming news roundup videos every Sunday. Star Wars Zero Company has been officially revealed with a cinematic trailer that ends on some gameplay. Yes, it's an XCOM-like turn-based strategy game, but where we make our own squad of clone troopers, astromechs and also a Jedi. They need to set aside their differences to take on a bigger threat in the story. It's set during the twilight of the Clone Wars, by the way, and I kinda like the gritty vibe they got going on. Not much else is known, but it's coming in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series and PC. let me know if you're interested in this in the comments down below. We also learned a release date for the final Star Wars Outlaws DLC, A Pirate's Fortune, that features Hando from the Clone Wars animated show, of course. We also got a brand new star system that we can explore with hopefully a new planet as well. It at least does feature some new locations, of course. I think we see some new abilities for K2. The trailer overall, though, did not really convince me, but I love the first DLC, so I will totally give this a try. It's coming May 15th. It's, of course, part of the Season Pass, or will be sold separately, but it also comes paired with a free update that has some cosmetics for everyone. Although, as always with this game, the cosmetics are not that exciting. There's also a free 3-hour demo, by the way, that you can try on all platforms, and we also learned the release date of the Switch 2 version, September 4th. So yeah, Ubisoft is still trying to make this game more of a success, because we of course know that it flopped big time last year. I finished it. I enjoyed it overall. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I think if you like Star Wars and you can get it for cheap, I do think it's worth it. A big update that we actually got this week is for Baldur's Gate 3. Dennis, you are the biggest fan here, so please tell us everything we need to know.
Thanks Jordan, and yes, patch 8 is finally here and it's packed with features and content, including the addition of crossplay. Photo mode was also finally added to the game and comes with a ton of features including character poses, color grading and stickers. But the most exciting new addition by far is the inclusion of 12 new subclasses, one for each class in the game. These come with new abilities and spells which are fully animated and have their own unique effects. You don't have to do anything to unlock them either, they just become available depending on your chosen class and level, just like all the other subclasses in the game. So while this is their send-off, as Larian have stated this is the final major game patch for BG3, I think it's more than enough reason to jump back in and fall in love with this story and these characters all over again. So I think I know what I'll be doing this Sunday. Back to you, Jordan.
Yes, it's time for the rumor roundup, where we go over the biggest leaks and rumors of the week, and I give stars, with 3 being I believe this and 1 being let's take this with a huge grain of salt. Tom Henderson on Insider Gaming reports that Ubisoft is developing a new battle royale heavily inspired by Apex Legends, with people working on it saying that I think the goal is to capitalize on the player count of Apex dropping and them, Ubisoft higher-ups, thinking there's room in the market for another hero battle royale. I don't think that they really think that. I mean, they could be stupid, but I think they're more hoping that there is still room. Because next to open world games, live service titles are the focus for Ubisoft, and they really only have one big one right now, Rainbow Six. And what we're seeing is that not a lot of new players are coming into gaming, so you have to get people away from established titles. But Ubisoft has not proven themselves worthy. Their big bet was Hyperscape, that you probably already forgot about. They also had Ghost Recon Frontline, Roller Champions, X-Defiant, The Division Heartland, all free-to-play attempts that failed or were cancelled. So hard to believe that it will be different this time, especially if they're just copying Apex Legends. Like, it should really have characters that are carbon copies of the ones we see in Apex Legends. Now, I do believe the rumor though, so 3 stars, Tom Henderson of course has a great track record, and it should be in development already for multiple years. But if it ever comes out is of course another question with everything that's going on at Ubisoft. And if they really want to capitalize on Apex Legends like being kind of down right now, they should launch it fast, because EA is working on something to put Apex Legends back on the map, a big 2.0 update that should be out at some point. We know thanks to Bloomberg that Sony is working on a new standalone handheld that can play PlayStation 5 games. We got Kepler, who shared the right details for the PS5 Pro, now leaking some extra stuff about this machine. So this handheld should be able to run PS5 games again, but at a lower resolution and frame rate, which is not too surprising. The performance should be somewhere between the Xbox Series S and the PS5. Now, there were first rumblings that this machine would launch alongside the PlayStation 6, but I don't think that's gonna happen. This feels more like a separate device. Again, it's not able to run PS6 games. So I think you want to launch this at least 1 year before the next console. Also because this feels like something that PS6 day one buyers would get as well. So launching it at the same time is not smart. Kind of like what they did with the PSVR 2 being 1 year later and the PlayStation Portal being 1 year after that. I think a PlayStation 5 native handheld will be very exciting, especially because the PS5 will likely be supported for a long time after after the PlayStation 6 is out. Kind of what we're seeing during this generation. Now, of course, let me know if you would buy a portable PS5 in the comments down below. Of course, every week we look at what's coming in the next 7 days, and it's a big one. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 launches on April 24th. I was, by the way, invited to the launch party in London where I got to meet the cast and developers. A really fun time. Thanks for the invite. The game is on Game Pass day 1 and also, of course, on PlayStation and PC. You want to keep an eye out for this one. The Days Gone remaster launched a day later with a $10 upgrade for if you already own the PS4 version. We'll totally be trying the new Horde mode. Again, the Oblivion remake is launching this week as well. And on April 23rd, Ubisoft will host a Division 2 showcase talking about the Battle for Brooklyn DLC, with Tom Henderson saying that it will be launching near the end of May and be a $15 expansion. So not as big as the previous ones that we saw. I will of course be live with my reaction stream on Monday, link in the video description. And we got also multiple videos planned throughout this week. So stay tuned with of course a news roundup like this at the end of the week. So subscribe to not miss anything, a like would be awesome. And you can check out my video on the React channel by clicking on the screen. For now, I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.